Listen. Welcome to LME Streams, the casual little live stream that we like to do live over here on the LME Streams channel, where we talk about all of the new movies that have come out. And we got a pretty decent week this week, Zach. Not too many stuff came out. We're not even dividing it by the categories of streaming service. I think I want to say I have a top 10 if we don't count two of the miniseries kind of shows that they have over here.
Mhm.
But it's just going to be a little easy breezy live stream, just going through the recommendations that we have, taking maybe some questions from the live chat, and then just giving some extra picks. So, Zach, I don't know how many of these new ones you were able to catch this week. Again, not too much, but I think we're heading to what's going to be a pretty big week this upcoming week because
Yeah.
Alita reminded me that HBO Max is keeping to that promise of the new movies. Tom and
Mhm.
Jerry comes out this Friday.
Oh yeah.
So it's
That
like
that's the big release everybody's talking about.
I'm excited for it. I keep forgetting that it's technically like half live action, so there's going to be Chloe Grace Moretz in it. But hey, other than that, like I said, just a simple breakdown for this week as we talk about on the stream the new movies that are out. So you know what? Let's just get right into it. The first one
Mhm.
that we have up was a movie that was available for 1999 not too long ago, but it's actually based off of a true story, and it's this little film called All My Life. It's one of those that like kind of fills the itch of what the rom-com kind of based on a true story where one of the main love characters is dying type story that we would have seen in theaters, but like I said, was out for 1999. But now you can purchase it for 1999. Wouldn't really recommend it for either, but nonetheless, like I said, because it's based off a true story, it's got those cute little moments where you have this couple, where it's actually him who's suffering from a diagnosis that is fatal, and it's cutesy. I will say that it's one of those movies that moves really fast in terms of them going from meeting each other to being together to
Mhm.
rushing the entire relationship. And obviously that's what these movies really rely on, that fact of that there's only a certain amount of time that they have with each other, and so they kind of rush everything that's going on. But if you're a fan of the cast, I know a lot of people are a fan of Jessica Ross. She's been in several movies and series as well, like Utopia. But I think she's a fine actress. But again, when it comes to this film in particular, I personally would give it a stream it. I don't want to bash a movie that's based off of a true story, but even with like other better versions of that, like Our Friend that we covered not too long ago, just because it's a very compelling true story doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a very compelling movie.
Right.
So if you're curious about this one, I'd say give it a chance once it's streaming, maybe on Netflix. I feel like this is one that's perfect for Prime. But again, if you read up on the story, if you care a lot about it, maybe give it a rent it right now. Like I said, it's up on Vudu for I want to say it's 1999. Oh my goodness. Here's a perfect thing to talk about in this movie. Isn't it weird that some of these movies are available to purchase, but you can't rent it?
Yeah, it's like they really want you to put down the big money or
It
nothing
makes
at
no
all,
sense to
I
me, man.
guess.
There's these new streaming rules that I don't know. No one really understands right now. Everyone's doing different things. Like I understand being able to
Yeah.
purchase it digitally before there's a physical copy, but not being able to rent it. Like you got to pre-order before it comes out. I don't know. It's a little weird.
Yeah. I don't think the studios understand it any
Yeah,
more than we do right now. Everybody's just trying to figure out how to release movies while movie theaters are still kind
yeah.
of
We'll see.
MIA,
I don't
at least
know.
for now.
But just like that, they didn't really know how to fully adapt this movie. But nonetheless, it's still cute if you were curious to catch. The depressing walk to remember type stories where, based off a true one. Uh, but that's it. Really, I have nothing more to add to it. Like I said, I'd give that one a stream it. But another one that is also streaming over on Netflix, something that people have been talking about a lot. I asked Zach, have you seen this? He's like, no, but I've heard a little bit about it. It's based off of a novel. It's 6 episodes long, and it stars Bono's daughter. I have no idea that Eve Hewson, who I had seen in, see if it's over here, in Tesla. She has a pretty funny scene in Tesla where she's the one who opens up a MacBook and Googles Tesla himself. I had no idea she's Bono's daughter. She traveled with U2 when she was young. And I don't think
Yeah.
she's a bad actress. She's been in a couple of different,
Wow.
I would say, pretty high profile cases. She was also in this little movie right here called The True Adventures of Wolf Boy. That is the boy Jaden Martell, Zach. as a wolf boy. She's in this movie, and I kid you not, she kind of looks like Imogen Poots at times, depending on how the camera captures her. But she's ready to make her own splash and stuff, and she stars in this 6 episode miniseries over on Netflix, like I said, based on an adaptation where for the first 5 episodes, it is just covering this relationship kind of drama between not just this couple in where she ends up in rehab and they're trying to kind of keep the relationship going, but then comes this new woman into the picture who gets hired by the husband and they kind of become a thing while at the same time they become a friendship. And you're in there for like a couple of episodes trying to figure out where this is going. And I spoiled it for Zach right before we went on the stream because he said, I'm not going to watch this. As you can see right there, they also got young Ned Stark, as I rewinded over here, who is with Eve. What did I say her name was? Eve Hewson in rehab right here. Young little Ned Stark from the flashbacks of Game of Thrones, who plays a pivotal point in this movie. But none of that matters until the last 10 minutes of this show.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. Like I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and everybody had already warned me, saying like, "Oh, it's 4 episodes of filler until you get to that really big twist at the end."
Hmm.
And Netflix has been pushing the twist. I'm tired of Netflix's social media marketing. They need to stop acting like they're teenagers on social media. But it was interesting to hear the behind the scenes of this. They kind of called out what you and I always talk about on Intracut, that there's we've always wanted 10 episodes, but now that we have 10 episodes, we kind of want them to be shorter. And they were
Hmm.
complaining about not everything needs to be 10 episodes. Look, not everything needs to be 6 episodes either. This could have been, since it is based off a book, this could have been a 2 hour movie. And now it's
Yeah,
a 6 hour show.
I'm wondering, because we always say, "Oh, this should have been a Netflix series. This should have been a Netflix series." Maybe somebody had their feature film script and was like, "You know what? Maybe I can make this a Netflix series," and
Yeah.
probably should have left it as a movie.
It goes into interesting places without spoiling it. I do want to make more of a spoiler LME video on it to talk about where it decides to go. But I was explaining to Zach what the ending is, and he's like, "Yeah, that sounds a lot like another movie from 2019 that had a better version of that ending."
Yep.
But yeah, it got a lot of people reacting to it, but it feels like a flash in the pan for the most part. I don't want to say that
Mhm.
it has bad performances. I don't want to say that it doesn't have bad cinematography, but I do think it drags a little bit, and it doesn't need to be a whole 6 episodes. I think it would have worked better as an adaptation, a movie adaptation. But nonetheless, if you're curious about this and you got the time to spare, you will not see that ending coming because it literally does come out of nowhere. So I guess that is something to look forward to if you were kind of bored at home and wanted something that gives you a little bit different. I'd give it a stream it. If it was a movie, I'd give it a rent it. But 6 episodes, it's a stream it up on Netflix. If you're curious to give it the chance. Another one that is on Netflix. I don't know if you caught a little bit about this one, or if you even heard about this. Amend: The Fight for America.
Yeah, the trailer auto played after the last Netflix thing that I watched. It's seems like they're pushing this a lot, and obviously you've got so many famous faces
So
attached to
many.
this one. Just like the poster with all of them staring at you. It's like it's kind of incredible.
Yeah, it is. It is a ridiculous amount. As I'm watching this, you scroll through, and there is just celebrities after celebrities that are popping out here. I'm trying to pull some of them up. Uh, Mahershala Ali just comes to stare at the camera and look away. There's Bobby Cannavale comes out to just say a quote from something. David Diggs is in it. There is so many people in this thing. I will say though, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, they have this man come out to say a quote. Um, I can't even remember who it was. Old white dude, obviously. It, they got Joseph Gordon-Levitt quoting someone who says the N-word, and I'm like, oh damn, Joseph. I hope they didn't make you do double takes on that. But it is just celebrity after celebrity after celebrity, and I will say it's a pretty solid. I guess we can call it a docu-series. It is. I don't know if it's a docu-series because it's more so like a lesson. They are breaking down episode by episode what the 14th Amendment is and what it adds to America, and breaking down not just from POC, but when they get to episode 4, interestingly enough, we covered the story of Polly Murray, and in episode 4 they really break down her story and how she's very
Oh, cool.
undervalued, and I'm just thinking back to like, oh yeah, we that was one of the most profound docs that you and I caught at Sundance. So
Yeah.
I will say it's a very informative series. They really get into the heart of a lot of the stuff that deals with the 14th Amendment. And bro, right off the first episode, they go after Abraham Lincoln, and I was not expecting it. I was like, damn, all right, put the pressure on the man on the penny. So if you're curious, in catching something that is star-studded, that is very informative, and I'll say it's not even boring for something that feels like a lesson, give it a chance. It's over on Netflix. I personally would give it a high rent it. If you had to rent this from your library, I'd say it's worth it. I think it gives you everything you need to know if you were writing something for school for sure. So Amend the Fight for America up on
Very cool.
Netflix. The streaming services that claims that they are not educational, Zach. They're just there for entertainment. Okay.
Right.
The rental's also out this week. For those of you who are curious, our video kind of got delayed because we have to wait till it's on Showtime, Zach. But if you were curious for this, I personally had given this one a rent it. I know not everybody felt that way. So, hey, now it is streaming over on Showtime. If you got Showtime, go check this one out. It stars Dan Stevens, Allison Brie, Sheila Van, Jeremy Allen White from, I know more from movies, but I know a lot of people know him from, I forget the show.
Shameless.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty solid movie. I don't know if you ever got to catch this one, but it is the directorial debut. Oh, you did catch this one. Directorial debut from David Franco. What did you think about this one?
Yeah. Not only directorial debut of David Franco, but co-written by a guy that we like a lot, Joe Swanberg, and starring Dave Franco's, I forget if it's his fiance or his wife, but Allison Brie. I think there are elements here that are really interesting. Obviously, the whole idea of centering a horror movie around this creepy Airbnb is a compelling idea. I think there are things that I like about this. I particularly like the final sequence right before the credits, and I almost wish the movie took more inspiration from that. But all of the intriguing stuff that happens in the first half devolves into very like a typical slasher horror movie by the second half. I thought it was just okay.
I feel you. I know that they're really trying to build up on a series for this. I know not everybody loved the resolution that happens in the film, but I know that he's been talking about trying to take this type of story of haunted Airbnbs or not haunted, but stalking Airbnbs, maybe internationally, maybe doing other things. So it may not be the first time you see the rental. There may be other rentals coming out soon, but it's streaming over on Showtime. If you're curious, decent flick, catch it there. Getting into I'd say the better half of the movies that came out this week. There was a small little documentary that came out on Prime. So many stuff comes out on Prime. This is one of the very few that caught my attention. It's called Cryptopia, Bitcoin, Blockchains, and the Future of the Internet. The trailer right off the bat just pretty much says, you ever wonder why the government doesn't want you to have Bitcoin? It's because they don't have control over it. Zach, I have zero stock in Bitcoin. I don't know if you ever got into that. My brother was really big into Bitcoin, and look, I can't claim to know much about it. This is a documentary that tries to break it down, not just in trying to make sense of it from the people who founded it, from the people who work on it, but trying to put it in layman's terms in how it affects the economy and how it affects different governments, because if the dollar isn't the top thing in the world, then how does that affect America? How much of a bigger player are we? And it's crazy. Like right here, what you're seeing there, they have vaults that they send you to where they have these systems. So sure, it's not a bank, but it's like a Greenland bunker that they're keeping these things preserved in. I don't know your thoughts on crypto.
Crypto is definitely fascinating. There's all these stories about these people who have potentially millions of dollars in Bitcoin locked away in encrypted wallets that they no longer remember the passwords to.
Yeah.
So just the fact that so much of Bitcoin is out of circulation, I think is really interesting too. I think all the cryptocurrencies took a big hit on the market today.
Really?
Bitcoin is down like 7% or something today.
Oh,
so maybe a good time to invest.
Damn. Yeah, Tushar was talking about Dogecoin over here, another one that we've been hearing with all of the, everyone getting invested in stocks this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd recommend this one. I'd say check it out. I know last week I was talking about the China Hustle, another one that Prime is hosting, dealing with the stock markets and how shell companies can be abused and used. But another one to check out if you're interested in crypto, if you don't know anything about it, or if you're curious to see some interesting interviews that they have with some really prolific people who deal with it.
Interesting.
God of the Piano. an interesting movie that I want to say I caught at Philly, possibly Sliff. Good old Sliff. It follows a woman who really, I believe, one of the lines that they have, and it's in the trailer as I play it over here. She's really big into being a pianist, and I don't know what it is with piano movies in where it's never healthy, man. I don't know what it is. And she just so happens to have a kid who can't hear, I want to say. So now she's kind of stuck with this thing of how is she going to have her own prodigy? And decisions are made in this movie. I will say it's a drama slash thriller in her trying to get her kid to be a part of this institution. And I'm trying to get to the line towards here at the end that I found to be really, really good in encompassing the movie. Play it over here. As you can see with the subtitles, he quotes it to her. He's like, there's a difference between composers and technicians. I like that line because it reminds me a lot of the one from Portrait, where they're like there are painters and then there are artists. Um, I would give this one a pretty decent rented. It's got an ending that stuck with us from, again, I don't know what festival we caught it, but it stood out to us a little bit. Um, and again, it's a pretty decent drama that kind of just reminds you that I cannot think of any piano movie where things don't get a little too overboard. But God of the Piano, I want to say it comes from. I'll pull up the IMDb over here to check what country this is from.
The director's name almost looks like the word or the
Uh,
country name Italy. So it'd be great if it
I
was
wanted
from
to say
Italy.
Italy. It's Israel. It's Israel,
Okay,
but yeah, it does look
that
like
looks like a
Italy. Yeah.
very that looks like a very Hebrew name. That makes
There
sense.
you go. But yeah, I caught this one, like I said, over at a festival. Now that it's out on VOD, uh, let me check how much it is over here. Yeah, $3.99 is the perfect amount of rented that I would say. Oh man, I miss seeing $3.99 for rented. You've
Yeah.
been so used to seeing 19.99, 99, but for $3.99, if you check out the trailer and it interests you, I'd say definitely check it out. It was doing the rounds at the festivals, and now it's out available for the public.
Dope.
I care a lot. I
I'm
want.
very curious to hear your thoughts on this one because this is a pretty divisive movie for some people.
It is. Look, I'm gonna say this. There's a lot I like about this movie, and that really relies on the cast. I want to say that everybody in this film is bringing their A game, even
A,
if the script is not.
yeah. A
Uh,
lot of people are saying this is like Rosamund Pike at her best since Gone Girl.
I mean, yeah, she owns that. Oh my goodness, this scene right here. Look, let me go back with this. She owns this role completely, covering a woman who is able to take guardianship of elderly women, while it also being a girl boss movie
Hmm.
about how she wants to take advantage and have all this power. It is a dark film. I think that's the whole point of it. You're not really supposed to like these people, but damn, do you hate them though? I can't think of anyone, even people who like this movie, who like the characters in this. This sequence right
Right.
here, though, between um, the lawyer and her when they're just facing each other, because it pretty much revolves around Wee's character, who they take advantage of, as you can see over here. They pretty much try to find elderly people who have a lot of money but not a lot of dependents, or if
Hmm.
if any, and then try to take advantage of them to pocket everything. It was interesting
Right.
because we never covered the Britney Spears one, that doc that's
Yeah.
up on Hulu. But damn, has everybody been on guardianship? And I looked over at Alina while watching this movie, and I went, "Yeah, we need to have kids for sure." Because when you don't have anyone there to file for you or to help you, I mean, even you end up seeing what's this man's name? I know he directed a couple movies. He was in Blue Ruin. You'll see him pop out in a little bit. He didn't even have a say in what was going on with his mom. Right here, what's his name?
Oh, is that shoot, what's his face?
Macon
The
Blair.
Yeah, the dude from Blue Ruin is what I always think of.
Yeah, this man even directed a he
Sundance winning movie.
Sundance winning movie that went straight to Netflix the following week. It didn't really go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Um, Look, I think it is a very stacked cast. The sequences between her and Chris Messina are fantastic. You
Hmm.
also have Peter Dinklage in this movie, but I don't understand why the script doesn't do them justice. I feel that there are a lot of moments that are very artificial, be it visually. Some of the lighting, you could see it. It's trying to make it look a lot nicer than how it would realistically look, and it starts feeling very fake. You have a woman who knows how to defraud a lot of people, but somehow can go up against a Russian mob. I don't know, Zach. There's a lot more that I'm
Yeah.
curious to talk to you about over on Intercut and more spoilerish type style once you're able to catch it over on Netflix. But man, has this divided a lot of people. I am okay with having unlikable characters, but I really feel like Rosamund Pike is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And with some of the interviews that I've been getting into, it very much seems like that because she has better backstory that is just not covered in the movie. She has this whole backstory on why she vapes a lot and how she used to own a vape store, but I was like, that is nowhere in the movie. I don't even think that was in the script that was given to you. But again, the performances, incredible. The script, not so much in my opinion,
Yeah.
but I'm very curious to know your thoughts on this once you catch it.
Devesh in the comments asks, can't the argument for the main characters being awful also be used for Wolf of Wall Street? Yet people held that as a masterpiece. So, what do you think about that idea that some movies have despicable characters, but they can be great, and yet this one, despite its despicable characters, is not quite as strong?
I mean, we talked about this with Hustlers. Some people had a problem with Hustlers, but Wolf of Wall Street was their favorite, and it was like, oh, I mean, yeah, that's not fair. The difference here, like I said, I have no problem with the characters. I have a problem with the writing in Wolf of Wall
Hmm.
Street. The way that it's written, way better than here, where they're narrating some things. There are moments where they hold your hand, where they're like, look at this video. Is this your mom? And it's like, bro, we don't. Oh, why'd she call you by that nickname? Ah, it's because we used to date in the past. And then there are other moments where they want you to, like catch up on things without it being spelled out for you. So to answer that, it's not a part of the despicable characters. I have no problem with that. The way that I would answer it is
Yeah.
because they're lesbians in the movie. They deserve to be despicable. They don't have to be nice. They don't have to be perfect people, but they also do deserve a solid script. And I think that that's where the movie could have been a lot better because it looks beautiful. The performances are there, but it just doesn't hold up. A lot of the moments, it's narrating a message. And that's a lot of what happens with Macon Blair's character. Like he shows up just to say something in order for her to give a speech. When
Hmm.
Peter Dinklage is, coming up against her, it just sets up for her to give a speech, and it's like, come on, guys. Again, you
Yeah.
compared it to Gone Girl, another character that you would see as being very despicable, but at the same time, it's written much better. So I could see the
Right.
comparison between Wall Street, but again, my argument is on the script, and I don't think you can compare the scripts at
And I
all.
think exactly, and I think I haven't seen I Care a Lot, so I can't compare it to this film specifically. But I think the reason that films like Gone Girl and Wolf of Wall Street work for me is that it uses its characters, uh, lack of morality as indictments of systems at large, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason that you look at a movie instead of look at a movie like Wolf of Wall Street and the characters behave badly is that gives you an idea of what that environment is like. So I think a filmmaker like Martin Scorsese is doing that in a more masterful way, and maybe that's not the case here
Yeah.
in I Care a Lot.
I don't know why you would compare Wolf of Wall Street to I Care a Lot, but completely different filmmakers between the two of them. But
Yeah.
again, the performances just deserved a little bit of a better script. Um, but yeah, out on Netflix. Is this one eligible for this year's Oscars, or was this supposed to be a push for next year?
No, I think I Care a Lot is available is technically for this year's Oscars since the eligibility window is the end of February.
Hmm, okay. We need to see. I want to see another movie with her and Chris Messina. They went at it. I absolutely adored that scene. That one was fantastic. Nomadland is out this
Yeah.
week. I don't have anything else to say about it. It's on Hulu. Catch it. I did rewatch Minari since the last time that we covered it with its release. I am hoping that one I'm still rooting for that one. I've been keeping up with Gold
Same.
Derby, seeing what the odds are, and I know right now it's Nomadland, Chicago 7, and Minari. Obviously, I'm rooting for Minari. I still believe Nomadland's going to be the one that take it. Lord, please, Lord, don't let it be Chicago 7. Oh my god. I keep seeing those numbers go up for it in terms of the
Yeah.
odds. Nah, dude, nah. Nah, Zach sent me a tweet. I wish I had it handy right now about how they uploaded it on YouTube for the anniversary of
Hmm.
the trial, and YouTube blocked it because of the contents that were in there. And I was like, "Yep, I could feel that. I feel that in my soul for sure." But
Yeah.
yeah, I still think No Man Land's going to be the shoe in. Zach and I were talking right before the stream how she has just been dominating.
Chloe
Yeah,
Zhao.
who did we say was it? From Sideways,
Alexander Payne.
he had the record during award season with the most. I think it was maybe 40, maybe 50, of statues that he had collected because of his directing and his writing. This woman has surpassed him by over a dozen, and they're not even including the fact that because she's producer, anything that Nomadland has been winning for Best Picture also counts for her. So a record-breaking year for her. I absolutely love her direction in the movie. Again, I have my own personal gripes with the rollout and production and
Yeah.
80% of an adapted book. I can't remember the last time a book was adapted and 80% was missing and people were okay with that. But again, it's a different perspective that she went at. She's talked about it herself, how she tried to keep it very apolitical. And from that, hey, that's fair game. I'm looking to catch it. It's an IMAX too. You sent me something earlier where surprisingly they're not releasing their box office numbers. This and Be Nutty.
Yeah.
I don't like the look of that. I don't like the sound of that. I don't like anything dealing with that. But it's a decision, I guess, to not release numbers, regardless of how abysmal they are. Because look, Zach, if
Yeah.
they're abysmal right now and you're able to use it as an excuse, what happens when we go back to normal? Is that going to be an
Exactly. Like
excuse to use again?
they create a precedent under which they don't necessarily have to release their box office numbers, and maybe we get to the point where the studio box office numbers are kind of like streaming numbers, where they only release them when they're really flattering.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a disservice to basically everybody who cares about the entertainment
Yeah,
industry.
that's not fair. And streaming services are already getting away with that because they don't have to say anything. But I like the fact that it
Yeah.
is out on Hulu because originally I know this one kept getting pushed back, and now they have it in theaters and they have it on streaming. So check it out because chances are it's going to win Best Picture.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the front runner right now. Although whenever a movie assumes that front runner status, the backlash tends to grow louder and louder. And we're now in the throes of, is Nomadland about poverty or romanticizing poverty?
Mm.
So I
Oh,
think,
now we want to have that convo. Okay.
hey, look, most people didn't get to see it until now. So
Isn't that it? You know what? Oh, let's get in our bag, Zach. Oh man, you're making me want to talk about some other stuff, but I don't know if I want to just save it for intercut. I heard someone break down the idea of what pushback really is, and I found it very. I'm forgetting who said this. Someone on Twitter, and maybe you'll know because I know it may click. What
it might
Twitter?
have been Jourdain. It sounds like something Jourdain wrote. That I
Okay,
think that's what you're referencing.
where pushback is just another way of saying all us critics got to see this early, and we came up with our opinions. But
Yeah.
now that the regular people get to see it, it's pushback. And it's like, no, it's not. They just don't have the ability to go to a massive film festival. This would
Hmm.
have been doing the rounds at TIFF. This would have been doing the rounds in New York. It did. And in many cases, I think you got to see a streaming link of it, but
Hmm.
they made you go to the drive-in. I know when I played at Chicago, you had to go to the drive-in. Meanwhile, uh, King released and made sure that One Night in Miami was getting screened for you to watch at home. She made sure that movie was done so that it was out for 2020. Hey, some differences there, and I find it very ironic considering the subject matter. We also discussed a lot of press was revealing the packets that they got that looked a lot like what, Zach?
Uh, Stuff that probably could have gone to
Mm,
the many subjects in this film.
yeah, Amazon Fresh packets being sent. Yeah,
Yeah,
hey. We'll be talking about it more and more now that it's out and more people are getting the chance to see it. Again, I don't think it is a bad
exactly.
movie. I do think it's a very solid flick. I am rooting for Chloe Zhao to win because I think just the behind the scenes of how she made this movie is fantastic. I just wish that for a movie that's an adaptation, we can cut out the 80%. If we're going to bash Amazon, I don't need to see in the trailer y'all taking a break in the break room, please. Test Pattern, Zach. A new movie that Alina actually caught at Sliff.
Oh,
And she really
Sliff.
liked it. Yeah, I did not get the chance to catch it when we were at that festival. Um, I am fresh off of it. Let's see. I literally finished it an hour ago. It comes from Shatara Michelle Ford, who I believe has made a couple of shorts, so they're not appearing right here. She talked about how she maxed out credit cards for this flick in order to make sure that she was telling the story she wanted to tell. Because she's like, if I'm taking money from other people, they're gonna have a say in my movie. And the whole perspective of my movie is for me to say the things that aren't being said. So why would I want a big studio head to tell me what I'm supposed to do? It does talk about very heavy subject, obviously dealing with assault. Um, and it's a pretty solid movie. It is available right now by Kino Lorber to be able to rent. I believe you can even catch it in, through one of your local virtual cinemas, which we've been always hyping up with these streams throughout. So you can catch it like in a music box and support them there. But this, pretty profound.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Never Rarely, Sometimes Always, in the fact that damn, do our medical facilities just suck. There is absolutely nothing in place to make sure that people get the assistance that they need, because a big part of this in the second half is after an incident happens, it's them going from one facility to another, to another, to another. It also reminds me of the Netflix show that I know you and I both thought was fantastic, Unbelievable, and how even if you do end up getting a test, does it matter if those things just lie around? And then subtly, man, what really hit me was they hit you with a little flashback between their relationship right here, and it really gets into how she wants to handle the situation and how the guy thinks the situation should be handled. And I thought it was a very well directed movie, really great performances, and I'm very curious to see what the director does next, as well as the cast and crew in this. So I would highly recommend this one. I'm giving this a solid junior price. Test
Awesome.
Pattern, available to
Yeah,
rent.
I'm definitely excited to check this one out too. There's been a few people few critics that I think we both like saying very good things about this
Mm-hmm.
one.
So check this one out when you get the chance. And yes, Tushar, I love saying Sliff. Final ones. These are ones that I can't remember where both of these were playing. Twilight's Kiss, I want to say I caught maybe at Chicago. Maybe we got a screener. Ah, man, I can't remember. It's also known as Suk Suk. This was not submitted by Hong Kong for international
Mm-hmm.
feature. We have a whole intercut talking about all of the best international features, docs, and animations for the Oscars leading up to it. Better Days was submitted instead, which I do like that one. But Twilight's Kiss, I think, is a very solid film. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this one, Zach, because I feel like you may even prefer this one over another tale that's very similar about, an elderly same-sex couple with was it two of us?
Hmm.
I prefer this one just a little bit more. It's
Interesting.
covering the relationship between these two men in China who, as they reach that elderly age, they're kind of struggling in figuring out how are they going to live their lives in an elderly home if they're not able to fight for their rights in a place where it is very looked down upon. But even if you try to fight for your rights, you're going to be disowned. And you see that even in the making of this movie, where these two actors who are pretty big in China were scared to take this role because, again, that's the whole point of this movie, right? That you're going to be looked down upon if you are, you know, supporting an LGBTQ lifestyle. So even finding the actors, they had a lot of struggle in seeing which men were going to be willing to put themselves out there for it. But it
Mm-hmm.
really showcases the struggles that both of them have, because they both have families, and how their families see them, and how the community that they have here, where these men meet in order to be able to fight for their rights, so that when they retire, there's going to be somebody looking out for them. I really like the nuances in the performances. Just in the, I don't want to say power dynamics, but kind of power dynamics when it comes to you becoming an elder, and how your kids now kind of have a say in what you have to go through. But yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty good movie. Again, I wish it would have been a submission from China, but I guess why would it be, right? That's what it's covering.
Yeah.
So this one is playing out in some virtual theaters, but it is also available on Vudu. Let me see the price over here. I'll give you my thought. Oh, $9.99 for sure, easily. Definitely worth it, because I think this is near a combo price for me. I would have loved to have seen this at the Music Box, or like the Cinemark. This would have been a good one. Twilight's Kiss.
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely will have to catch up with that one.
Make sure to check that one out. And to wrap up our list over here, is a movie you can catch at home on Shudder. The
Wolf
Wolf
House.
House, man. This was a movie I was scared to watch. I was I did not want to see this because I was worried I was going to have nightmares, and nightmares I did have. Like I said, it is available for you to catch over on Shudder, and Zach and I talked about this right before we recorded the other intercut when we were talking about the animated movies of the year. This one did not get submitted because, I don't know, maybe it was different year, a little older. Zach and I have no idea what this movie was about, but it is an absolute experience.
Yeah.
Um, it's a different. It's an amalgamation, as you can see here, of what looks like paintings, what looks like paper mache,
It's
sometimes
very
clay.
mixed media.
Yeah, and you are following this at what feels like a long take because as you see something, that object also creates what the next thing is going to be. I
Right.
know the two guys who worked on this. It was just done with a couple assistants. They said they checked out a library or a museum and just got to work. Just wasted so many materials and oh, look at that shot right there in just
Hmm.
creating this crazy story. Again, I'm still listening to some interviews about the folklore that comes with it, especially because I know it's something that has a lot of history in their country. Um, but all I can say is this is an experience. If you want to just capture something new, I say this is one of the best releases Shutter has had. Shutter, without fail, they always have a lot of releases, but many of them I don't cover here because they tend to be, just your okay slasher movies. But the Wolf House,
Yeah.
I like to see that Shutter is hosting some. I don't want to say. I don't want to be pretentious and call it quality and call it high grade, but hey, some real art house cinema that I know played at a couple of festivals. I want to say if it wasn't this, yeah, no, right here. I have it in my notes. First animated film, according to them. I'd have to double check, but according to them, the first animated film that was accepted in Berlin. So,
Hmm.
yo, shout out to Shutter for hosting this and letting people see it.
Yeah. No, and we were talking when we recorded that intercut, and we were talking about the animated features. One of the things we were talking about is how a lot of times you get somewhat similar movies in the animated feature category.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, it's all of the big budget CGI, Pixar-ish, DreamWorks animation-ish stuff, and then you'll get an occasional movie that looks a little bit more daring. But this, in particular, is one of the most unique looking animated features I've maybe ever seen. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen similar art projects that use an art style like this, but they go so deep and do so much evolving of the art piece. It's really remarkable. Yeah, I am. If you're intrigued at all by the art style, I would highly recommend.
Yeah, it's creepy, but it is fascinating, and I highly recommend it. The dudes are saying that the next project that they have is a series of paintings, and I was like, okay, that's go for it. And they wanna see if they can adapt those into a movie. So, some fascinating stuff there. It is so eerie though, so make sure you catch it at night with the lights off, get the full experience. But those are the movies of
Yeah.
this week. Like I said, just a decent list, not too much from every other service. Dude, the Globes are this upcoming week. Did you know that? So it's like really right
Yeah,
now is the
it
time to
feels like
just be
there's
playing
so
catch up
soon.
with some of the other stuff that may have been nominated. Everything but music. Just to make sure that you have everything that you need before we get into the big parts of award season, which is going to be all throughout March. And as we know, the Oscars are going to be going late April 25th. But yeah, those are the ones that we had this week. Curious to see what people would recommend. If you're watching on the chat, let us know or have any questions. And even if you're watching the playback of this, let us know any of the movies that you would recommend. But let's see, Zach. Any questions in the chat? We'll take a couple and wrap it up.
Yeah, I got about 4 questions we can go through. First one is from Devesh, who said, "Can you please address Jesus Leto?" I don't know if you've seen the latest photo going around from the Snyder Cut.
There's a Jesus Leto. Explain.
Oh my God, have you not been on Twitter today? Because there is a Joker Jared Leto going around with like a rose thorn crown or whatever those are. It it is amazing, and the a continuance in the very trolly Joker imagery popping up from Zack Snyder's upcoming uh release of Justice League. I don't know, man. I'm just very confused by what they're going for with this movie.
Zach, what the hell is this?
I have no idea.
Bro, what the hell is this? Nah, bro, this has to be a troll, man.
You're the religious
That's
scholar.
what I
Tell
have.
me.
Well, I guess Zack Snyder's got a one up on me. Holy smoke. Literally, holy smoke. What are they? Is he wearing a mask? Oh, man, bro. No,
Looks like
this
he
is
is.
news to me. Um, Wow. So Zach had sent me something earlier on I think was it Vulture? Was it Vanity Fair? Had a pretty good breakdown with Zack Snyder on how he was.
Vanity Fair,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's dedicating the movie to his what's it called?
Deceased daughter.
Yeah, and just the way he's dedicating everything, and he's taking no payment. All of the profits are going to be going to suicide prevention, and how he's just going to go all crazy with it. He doesn't care about any continuations. He doesn't care if there's black bars on your TV. He is making it the way he wants to make it. Clearly, I don't know what this is, man. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, no comment. No comment, but damn. Okay.
All right, and then Tushar asked us thoughts on Uncle Marty's latest comments. Martin Scorsese continually dropping dimes on the MCU fanboys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard the full comments, but I have a quick quote here. He said, as recently as 15 years ago, the term content was heard only
Mm,
when people were discussing the cinema. Was only heard when people were discussing the cinema on a serious level, and it was contrasted with and measured against form. Then gradually it began to be used more and more by the people who took over media companies, most of whom knew nothing about the history of the art form or even cared to think that they should. Now the term content is for a business term for moving images. He's basically ripping on the term content, talking about how it devalues the idea of film. What do you think, man?
sure. He can vet. Um, I find it funny that we're always pressed every time he says something, and I just find it entertaining. If I were to break it down, I I kind of get what he's saying, because to him it's like what does my man call it? He calls it a picture, a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful picture. So to see it as content, I mean, you and I, we do this show for a reason because of
Mm-hmm.
all of the content that gets rolled out, where it's no longer a box office fight between two movies, right? It's a
Yeah.
box office fight between what is the biggest thing that is out there, right? What
Mm-hmm.
streaming service is hosting the most? The trailers are no longer for movies. They're for Hulu versus Netflix versus Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
It is content wars. Um, and within there, how much stuff is going to get lost? So many people are investing, so many streaming services are investing in this stuff. Will there be a breaking point? You know?
Yeah.
And when there's a breaking point, then a lot of people are going to get cut out. I don't know if you ever saw I'm trying to, one of the actresses from Orange is the New Black showed her residuals on streaming. They were
Oh,
garbage,
really?
bro. They were pennies. And
Yeah.
that's what happens when you don't have those box office returns. When you're what are the two from Wonder Woman? When you're Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, who is producer, and they make the deal and they get their 10 million. Nobody else does. Once it comes to streaming, there's an even bigger divide where it is the producers and the higher ups who are getting the residuals and cuts, and everybody else is SOL. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well, yeah. I don't think I think you have to kind of listen to a guy like Scorsese when he talks
he
about
may know
the
a
art
thing or
form.
two. Yeah.
Yeah. I think especially with the proliferation of these streaming services, it's more likely that you have some of the most serious and meaningful works of film of all time sitting side by side with the new season of Floor is Lava on Netflix. And like, you know, if you open up let
uh,
Netflix and look at it, Floor is Lava takes up just as much size on the screen as The Irishman. And if by
okay.
chance Floor is Lava gets more people to watch it than The Irishman, well, then that content has served Netflix better. But to reduce the work of art that is a Martin Scorsese film down
Yeah.
to the word content, I think ignores how meaningful a movie like The Irishman is in terms of, what it has to say versus Floor is Lava.
And I agree with you, man. I mean, look at this. Pretend it's a city. Where is that on? Netflix.
Netflix.
And while I know some people have this notion of like, how dare Flores Lava have more attention than the Scorsese flick. Okay, how many screens was Hateful Eight on compared to the Star Wars movie in theaters? Why are we pretending like it was any different in theaters? I do worry, though, was what I said, right, about how payments are going to be let out, how we're going to be able to continue funding these bigger projects, um, and at what point, like you said, are we just going to relegate it to the algorithm, which we know Netflix has been, looking at AIs to write script, looking at our watch times and what we pause on, what we tend to gravitate towards, and try to I don't want to say fabricate, but try to create something just based on, I don't know, based on what all of the data that they're collecting. So I'm not gonna ignore what Scorsese's saying, but yeah, I love seeing people freak out about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like they want to say they don't care about Scorsese, yet the man, every time he opens his mouth, people got something to say about it. So yeah, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, so we got two Oscar adjacent ones. Devesh says, "Is it just me, or is the Oscar race this year much less intense than last year's?" I feel like there is some merit to that. Some of it is because award season is so extended; it kind of has spaced everything out, and if we were going from we have the Globes one week to the Writers Guild the next week to the Producers Guild the week after that, it would feel like there's a lot of momentum happening. But as is, we're still like a month and a half away
Mm-hmm.
from the Oscars.
I don't think it
So
started. Yeah.
maybe that intensity will start to ratchet up in March.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure, because also it's such a weird year
Thank you.
that maybe because the lack of movies coming out or whatever, it just feels like maybe there's a little bit less of like a competitive spirit happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mainly think it's a little too early to tell. I think the intensity that we normally feel is that last like month or two leading up to the Oscars,
Mm-hmm.
which we're still just getting into now.
For sure. And the other aspect of it is they don't look like this. Like I think a lot of people are like, why does it feel different? Because not everybody is scrunched up in a room. There's literally not people. There's not that human energy of everybody gasping together at the same time. There's less reaction shots when it comes to the very few award shows that we've had. The interviews, the press junkets are all being done on Zoom. There is a physicality to it that is completely gone, even if we are watching these award shows on our TVs. There is that aspect that we're not going to theaters and seeing, smelling the popcorn as we see all the artisan films being, talked about and advertised. There is no AMC Best Showcase thing, at least from what I know. They probably will be doing it on
Mhm.
AMC On Demand Watch. So yeah, it is very much different. But yeah, that's this year. I don't see it so much as a bad thing, and I agree with you 100%. We're still not even there. We still got 2 months before we even get close to the Oscars. So,
Yeah. And Tushar asked us thoughts on Lakeith Stanfield not getting much
oof.
awards praise for his performance in Judas and the Black Messiah. It's been a little bit surprising to see what I think you and I both think is one of the strongest films in competition at this year's Oscars, not really being given frontrunner status, at least quite yet. A lot of people seem to think Daniel Kaluuya is, if not the likely winner of Best Supporting Actor, then at least a shoo-in to get nominated. But Lakeith Stanfield isn't as favored in the Best Actor category, at least according to Gold Derby. They have him ninth right now.
Okay.
And I think part of that is because Best Actor is just such a crowded field. This year alone, it's going to be Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins,
Woo.
Riz Ahmed, Gary Oldman, Stephen Yeun, and Delroy Lindo
Oh well,
fighting it
yeah.
out. That's six of them fighting it out for for 5 spots. I haven't even mentioned Kingsley Ben-Adir, our guy from One Night in
Mm-hmm.
Miami, or Mads Mikkelsen in another round. So
Yeah, that's not even close.
uh,
I love
it's
Lakeith, but yeah, it's not
it's
even
really
close.
tough.
I'm over here. I'm
It's
on the
really
Best
tough. And
Picture.
also, I'd say there's one more major difference between Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya, and that's that Kaluuya has previously been nominated for an Oscar. He's
That too.
already kind of part of the club.
That too. I think what does Lakeith had? That's the biggest thing that he's done at the Oscars is come out and yell "Get out," like he did that one year. I love Lakeith. Lakeith is going to be that character actor who is going to continue killing it in everything that he's in, from TV to movies to short, anything that he's in. But I think it's going to be a bit till he gets that awards recognition. But the best part about him is I don't think he gives a damn. I don't think he's in it for
Oh
that
no.
at all. But yeah, my answer to that would be, as much as I would love to see him, even for my own personal list, that best actor thing is stacked. Like Zach and I keep talking about, I have my solid five, and there are like two, three, four other people I'm worried about getting in there before Lakeith. But that just, hey, it showcases and answers the question we were just asked. It was a solid year, man. There's still a lot of great performances that we were given. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, let's answer a couple more and we'll wrap.
All right, Ismail asked favorite HBO Max release so far, and which one is most anticipated? I think we
Ooh.
both would say that Dune is our most anticipated if that
If
turns
it
out to
turns out,
be an
yeah.
HBO Max release.
Yeah.
But as far as best so far, I don't know because it feels like they've put out mostly mediocre stuff. The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that's HBO Max specific, not HBO in general, was they have the most recent seasons of Search Party, which I love.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, obviously, my most anticipated is Space Jam.
That too.
I'm excited for In the Heights and such, but I mean, Judas and the Black Messiah counts as that, and that damn near competed. Like, I didn't think anything else was going to touch Minari, and that just, oof, yeah, one of my favorites. So it'd definitely be that. And I'm just, hey, I mean, Tom and Jerry comes out this week. I'm happy that they're keeping to their word of what they said. I just don't know what, again, what, like Martin Scorsese said, what the repercussions are going to be with not having back ends for a lot of the actors and above the line people who usually would have all those things. You know, it's the little things that people don't, the little things, that's definitely not one. It's the little things that people don't realize when it comes to the economics of the business that are just being pushed to the side. And we're in it for the entertainment, but from the actual economic standpoint, yeah, I don't know what the long run, you know, thing of that is going to be. Just like we talked about when it comes to like pandemic type filming, big studios, they have the resources. Smaller indies, or at least the middle ones, they don't, you know. So it kind of changes things around in having more of more hurdles that people have to go through. But yeah, do you think they'll release Dune?
Uh, I feel like the latest was that they're not going to, and
Yeah,
I'm at least hopeful that movie theaters will be back to normal by then, so
yeah.
that there's just going to be so much potential money in releasing it in movie theaters. Plus, we've talked about how all the costs potentially associated with paying actors and producers just to allow them to put it on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think they've got so many other things coming for HBO Max that they might just not fight that hard for Dune.
I feel you, man. I was really looking forward to In the Heights in theaters too. So ugh,
Yeah, well, maybe still.
maybe stuff. All right, let's wrap it up with the final one, and then we'll give our shout outs.
Yeah, I got one more. Where is it? Oh, Devesh asked us, watch Tenet this week, and I can't help but wonder, is Nolan the next Tim Burton? Someone with a very specific gimmick that attracts people now, but will seem irrelevant 10 years from now. I don't know if Nolan's time quirk is quite as specific as Tim Burton's aesthetic. And I think Nolan has done a better job of Tim Burton, though they've both done a very good job of translating their aesthetic to other ideas. I think with Nolan, you have Interstellar gives you the space exploration movie. Inception is this sci-fi thriller. Tenet is kind of like a Bond movie,
Mm-hmm.
but with a time travel element. I just think Christopher Nolan is such a more versatile filmmaker that he will continue to find interesting things, interesting ways to explore his ideas, and I think he's got a little bit more to potentially offer than Burton going forward.
Hey, he even said that when they were telling him, "Yo, we got VRs, we got video games." He goes, "No, no, 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 no. I want to stick to the 2D screen. There's still a lot more to be done." So he's
Yeah.
still fighting that fight, and yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think he's had as many misfires, but again, Burton's got like what, almost a decade or two on him. So
Yeah.
unless Nolan takes a crazy turn, I don't think so. But I can see how the comparison goes from there. I want to
Hmm.
wrap it up with some Slam Dance stuff because Slam Dance, again, still
Yeah.
$10. We've been talking about the most recent festival right before we get into South by and some of the other stuff. I don't know if you've been catching any. I know it ends this Thursday, so I just wanted to bring this up. I was seeing some recommendations from the chat as well. I just want to make sure that people know about it, and especially if you have a pass, because I've been busy catching up on a bunch of other movies and stuff for award season. You know, when we were recording Intercut. I was watching a lot of docs and foreign films to catch up on, and I was like, "Oh man, I almost forgot. We have a festival going on in the background. The beauty of it is that it's $10 and there is no schedule. The schedule is what you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, some of the documentaries, I thought Bleeding Audio was a pretty solid documentary that breaks down this band and all of the ins and outs of what they had to go through. There's a really crazy anecdote from one of the Plain White Tees dudes, the main dude, about how how record labels fund your stuff. And if we've learned anything from the Kanye leaks of his contract, yeah, you pay for it yourself. It's nasty. It is a nasty, nasty world. I remember growing up, and we always were like, "Oh, we're gonna get signed. We're gonna." I don't. I'm so glad. You do not want to get signed. It is an ugly, ugly world out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've caught any. I'm looking for another short that I was able to catch over here.
Now, this is the week where I'm really gonna finally dig into the slam dance stuff. But we do have some recommendations from the chat. Tushar said that you would enjoy Bleeding Audio,
Mm-hmm.
so he was spot on there in his recommendation. But he also says you would enjoy Anatomy of Wings and Codename Nagasaki, Taipei Suicide Story.
Tape. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get back to that one. That one's up at the top. That one, dude. That's a crazy double feature with On the Count of Three. But
Hmm.
there's a short over here I'm trying to find. The one thing that I do say that I liked about this festival, besides it just being at your leisure, all the Q&As are separate for you to catch at any point in time. They have trailers as well. Ooh, this one was. Oh my goodness. I think it's enough, isn't it? Oh my gosh. This one got me. It's a personal tale going through old video footage that the father shot of his daughter, and it's the daughter looking back at the dad. I don't know why that one got me so much, but yeah, definitely check that one out. Unforgivable was recommended. It was given a shout out on Twitter by Barry Jenkins. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on this, Zach, because I have thoughts.
Hmm. I'll definitely put that one on my watch list.
Yeah. I thought some of the animated ones have been pretty cool, but this right here is an absolute damn masterpiece, Zach. I love this short.
Hmm.
I think it is a short list for the Oscars as well. If I'm not mistaken, if it's not, that is their own damn loss. This thing is beautiful. It is gorgeous. You watch it forwards, you watch it backwards, you can watch it 7 times. You're gonna get something new that you notice in the background. That's all I'm gonna say. Watch this one immediately, Zach. And anyone
Hmm.
who's listening, if you're able to get that, definitely catch it. Yeah, I think that would have been some of the ones there.
Yeah.
Alina's been catching more of the shorts than I have. I haven't sat down to go through all the features just yet. I do like this category that they have here, Unstoppable. It's a lot of films done from a lot of filmmakers with disabilities and seeing things from their perspective. Like this one, Ass Level. It's about a woman in a wheelchair and how everything's at ass levels, and she does a rap song for it. I know Feeling Through also is shortlisted for an Oscar, so it's nice always to see that for $10 you can get some Oscar shortlisted things for you to catch. But no, Suicide or Taipei Suicide Story. It's like it's not even a full feature per se.
Hmm.
It's like 40 minutes, man. I'm trying to
That
find it
is
over here.
technically
It's technically a
the
feature.
Oscars count as a
Yeah.
feature. Yeah.
So uh, this one is pretty good. Yeah. I don't think if I
Hmm.
open it, I don't think it actually opens. It just logs into my account. But yeah, I recommend this one, man. Check this one out.
Cool.
It's really good. They do some things that could have been so overt, like they mentioned YouTube, but the way they mention it is like everything I care a lot didn't do. This, yeah, like that. It's able to touch on a subject without it feeling corny. But it's like, of course you would ask a question like that when you're dealing with a suicide hotel over in Asia. So yeah, I'm curious on some other thoughts that people may have on some of the movies that are here. Anything that you have seen and you want to make sure that we catch, let us know. I will be finishing up all of this for before Thursday, and I know we'll be talking about it over on Intercut. I'll probably be logging it here on the streams, as well as hopefully making a quick little video on LME as well to give Slam Dance a shout out because I love that it's $10. Not every festival is going to do it the way Slam Dance does. Obviously, not everything. I was just looking at Teenage Emotions. Not shot the best. A lot of these don't have the biggest budgets, but nonetheless, it's true indie films that don't, cost you $350 a night like other festivals do. And I love the other festivals, but I like what Slam Dance is doing. and you still have the chance to catch some films before Thursday.
Totally.
But yeah, overall, that's all the stuff for this week. Here's the list of what we recommend. I would highly recommend my top three being The Wolf House, which you can catch over on Shudder, Suk Suk, also known as Twilight's Kiss, which I believe you can support your local theater. If not, hey, on Vudu it is $9.99. But you can definitely go through Kino Lorber, and I think that you can support any of your local cinemas and watch Test Pattern. It did the rounds at some of the
Yeah.
festivals and pretty solid. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on this one, Zach. I know we'll be talking a little bit more on Intercut and giving it the shout out that it deserves. But overall, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you were watching live, shout out to y'all. If you're in the future, let us know your thoughts on any of the movies of this week down below in the comment section. And until next week, keep watching movies. Let me know what y'all think of the Golden Globes, and we'll see y'all later. Take care.
Bye.